Story 1. I love my boss. Super supportive and actually cares about me. He continuously reminds me to take time off and take care of myself. Very different from my past bosses. Story 2. I expect to get fired, chewed out, told I'm garbage, or revealed I'm a fraud or something. But it's usually, yeah, good job this year, you're doing well. Story 3. He loathes my productivity and thinks I could be a higher earner, despite having a full workload and many other responsibilities. He's me. I'm self-employed. Story 4. Depends on the boss, but usually it is a mix of updates, feedback, and them asking, anything else? While I decide if I should actually be honest or just nod. Story 5. Usually fine. Hey, redacted, this is your performance review. You do a really good job, and you are good about going out of your way to help the new people, blah blah blah. Sign here so we know you were given this review. Okay. Story 6. You all need better bosses. Reading some of these makes me sad you don't have someone both challenging your skills to grow and championing your successes. I manage around 10 people in technology. Weekly check-ins are employee-driven, focusing on what is going well, what is going poorly, and what you need my help with. Once every other month, I run them and talk about the company goals, strategy, things you want to see addressed, and work-life balance. Twice a year, it's about career growth and learning, what I think you need to improve on for the next 6 months, and what would make you quit this job for another one. My boss, on the other hand, Story 7. Boss doesn't know or bothers to know half the work I do. Then, when I take the time to write a white paper on my accomplishments, they forget to read it. Instead, they use a 5-subject line template human resources gives them that hardly matches up with actual performances. Story 8. We slowly make our way through the human resources mandated form while talking about technology and general life, with lots of tangents for 2 to 3 hours. It's kind of based, and I really like my boss. Story 9. So far, I've not had a bad one. Some were meets expectations when I was acting my wage prior to job hopping, but I found they rarely actually mean anything in large corporations. This year, the manager put me forward for a management and senior designer training course, 10 weeks split throughout the year, which traditionally in this corporation is code for welcome to the executive club, dear boy. You're one of us now. Not sure if I really want the increased stress that comes with the bump in grade. Story 10. Usually goes over goals and how close I am to hitting them, or sets new goals if necessary. Tells me if I hit the goals, I can get a 1% raise in 6 months. Story 11. Only ever had one. He took me to one side and said, a customer has spread a rumor, saying you told him to leave. I did. I replied, no, I didn't. He said, okay, I didn't think you would have. And that was it. We don't get many one-on-ones in retail. But anyway, that was my old job in a different store. That place was too large anyway. Now I'm in a smaller store and much happier here. Story 12. I turn in my self-evaluation and I never hear anything about it again. But to be fair, my boss doesn't get into the details with me unless it's business related. He leaves the technical stuff to me. We get sued less since I've been here and I think he appreciates that. He's a structural engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. Story 13. I knew I would have a bad one-on-one, so I decided to make it awkward by sitting next to, rather than in front of, my boss. I claimed to have hearing problems and we sat side by side. Try it out. Story 14. At my last job, they usually surprised me every quarter with non-specific negative feedback or things I wasn't doing well enough. Then they proceeded to provide zero coaching or specific examples on how to improve. Eventually, I quit after they put me on a generic performance improvement plan with non-specific key performance indicators and unrealistic goals. There were a couple of other situations where I believe I was treated unfairly by my manager, which led to them having a negative view of me after I contested those situations with them. Frankly, the company is on the road to failure. The product is bad, there's lots of technical debt, and product development is very slow. Many big clients were increasingly high churn risks. Management's solution was expecting individual contributors to perform perception management to make clients feel like the product wasn't as bad as it was getting. This was a mature tech company that lost its way after an acquisition by a much larger company. Story 15. I worked at a dysfunctional office for a number of years, and my one-on-ones at that office were akin to a complaining session where my boss would absorb some of my frustrations, lend some empathy, and provide no solutions. Now, my one-on-ones at a good company involve me giving status updates on my ongoing projects, letting them know what I am struggling with, and then my manager provides proper guidance or has conversations for me if needed. She takes notes of the things I need in real time on her shared screen and then gets those things done. She also usually sends a few compliments my way, which is always appreciated. Good bosses help you. Bad bosses just listen. Story 16. Generally, a quick check-in once a month or so. My boss is a tech-minded person and often has something interesting he wants me to know is coming soon to the wider team. We've also been discussing my promotion path a lot lately, so that's exciting. I just completed the last of the tasks I was asked to do for that. Took my Microsoft Artificial Intelligence 900 certification exam this morning and got a solid pass. Story 17. I have one-on-one meetings weekly. It's about 90% non-work, gaming, weekend activities, cool things we have seen, and 10% work. It's a good time to just relax, have a nice conversation, and recover for the week. Of course, if there's anything pressing, my boss is more than happy to address it. It really helps that my boss worked his way up to the position working alongside me, rather than being hired strictly for the role. Story 18. Haven't had one in 2 months. Just promoted to a new position with little experience under the promise I would be mentored and trained. Guess how that is turning out? Story 19. We have a monthly one-on-one meeting that lasts about 4 minutes. She talks about her kids for a minute, then tells me what my numbers were for the month, and asks if I have any questions. Quick and easy. Story 20. Got served the other day. Someone spun around me and got nothing but net while I was still turning around. Very embarrassing. I did get a sweet triple-double, but it wasn't enough to even start a comeback. Next time. Story 21. Horrible. He does not listen. Never takes criticism. It is his way or no way even though he is wrong. Will not answer direct questions. Refuses to give anything in writing. He really is a terrible boss. Story 22. Well, my first place was a complete mess. I had a one-on-one meeting once in 2 years. They threatened to put me on a performance improvement plan because one of my statistics was not good enough, despite me being overworked on night shifts, and the rest of the statistics were much better than expected. My current workplace? Way better. I have a one-on-one meeting every quarter. We just go over the pros and cons of the last quarter, set new goals, and she tells me how I can improve. She lets me know her plans to expand my role and what she needs from me in order to help her do that. Story 23. I do a lot of one-on-ones with my staff. Direct reports weekly and indirect reports monthly. It is fine. My team is high-performing, so I just try to remove blockers and build trust. Story 24. My managers in the industry have been great. We have one-on-ones every month, a mid-year check-in, and end-of-year pay and performance reviews. They are on time and do not reschedule except in rare, understandable instances. I find them useful and productive uses of my time. We talk about career goals, strategy, development opportunities, and just chat. Story 25. My boss happens to be a friend of mine. We have worked together for years. We usually go shoot pool at a bar or something, talk about work and stuff in general. If there is anything pertinent that they or I need to share with the other, it is not saved for our one-on-ones. Story 26. Took me 2 months of asking for a 6-month review to finally get one. He told me I was doing a good job, but they typically do not give raises until the 1-year mark. My 1 year is coming up next month, so I have already started asking about it. Haha. I like my boss. We joke with each other a lot, but he recognized how much more I am able to do than they first thought when I was initially hired. Story 27. Have weekly one-on-one meetings with my boss. Sometimes we cancel each other due to urgent issues. 30 minutes are allocated, but they last about 15 minutes. It's company mandated, designed to foster open communication with leaders. I guess it helped me foster a more relaxed working environment with my boss. During our sessions, we just chat about non-work related topics. Very rarely do we actually discuss work unless I have something pressing and didn't have a chance to catch him prior. Only discussed work during larger team meetings. In summary, it is beneficial, but it is what you make of it. One-on-one meetings mean different things for different people and organizations. Story 28. My boss is awesome. Even after getting a different one after 2 years, the last year with the new one has been great. We chat for half the time and get down to business the rest of the time. He's pretty informed on what is going on and doesn't micromanage me in the slightest. It's a pretty perfect setup for me. Story 29. I have one-on-one meetings every 2 weeks for 30 minutes. We chat for a while about video games or climbing. We discuss any upcoming work priorities that need to be addressed. We both bring up any concerns we have. If we don't have much to say, we just end the meeting early. Story 30. Oh, the old dreaded "we need to talk." So many clueless, or maybe not, managers who say this. I've seen complete anxiety breakdowns, hide and seek, duck and runs, and just walk-offs. Story 31. Usually ends with laughter. My boss is 14 years younger than I am. His style of management is very different from any I've been used to, and it's refreshing. Story 32. From a management perspective, I have bi-weekly one-on-one meetings scheduled with my 5 employees. One just started this year, so we're meeting a little more regularly initially. Typically, they're 10 to 15 minutes and just serve as an opportunity to check in on projects and see if they need anything from me. If there's something that requires more involvement, the call may go an hour or more. I try not to reschedule, but I'm in a lot of meetings, so I have to squeeze them in when I can or give them the option to skip and catch up another time. We all work remotely, so they're pretty important to keep things moving forward. The most important thing to remember is that nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just taking what gets thrown at us. Just act like you know what you're doing and you'll be fine. Story 33. They go great. Most of the time I get what I want, but even if I don't, the boss can't act surprised when I leave because I let them know what my problems were. Usually, at the time, they pretend to listen and care, but they often don't in practice. However, I've said my piece and I can leave with a clear conscience. Too many people are afraid of their bosses or afraid to lose their jobs and end up staying in very poor working conditions for years. It's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. Especially if a job is very bad, it makes leaving all the easier because you know that no matter where you go, it will be at least a bit better, if not great. The thing is, in most cases, you do get what you want or at least some compromise if you just talk instead of suffering in silence and complaining without doing anything about it. If the job is unsatisfactory and you're already considering leaving, you have nothing to lose by talking to the boss directly and seeing if that changes anything. I know many people feel it's pointless, but in my experience, it's worked more often than it hasn't. Story 34. Mostly about how I am trying to balance managing my team to get their best productivity while also trying really hard to keep them happy and motivated. Sometimes this is an impossible balance to strike. But when it all clicks just right, and you have a happy team and are meeting your goals, then it's all worth it. I don't ask too much of my team. Turn up for your hours, do your best while you're here, and don't cause me grief. Beyond that, I let them work how they feel best. Generally, that works. Story 35. Basically, I bring up a bunch of issues. He says, "Yeah, wow, that sucks." Then he promises to fix things. 1 year later, we have the exact same conversation, going on 5 years now with no changes. Story 36. We do them every 2 weeks, and usually we just launch straight into talking about whatever video games we've been playing the past few weeks. The last 5 minutes are sometimes reserved for actual work stuff, but only if I have questions or he has some announcements. Honestly, it's kind of annoying because I have no idea what he thinks about my performance, which makes it really hard to figure out just where the line is so I can toe it and be as lazy as possible without getting fired. Story 37. It honestly depends. If I have not asked for a raise, they are almost always good. If I have recently asked for a raise, they are almost exclusively negative and filled with reasons why I do not deserve one. Story 38. I'm remote, so about 1 in 4 times I forget about it and work through it. My boss enjoys the extra non-meeting time. About 1 in 6 times my boss forgets and messages saying he is sorry. He says he's happy with my work and asks if everything is fine on my end. We end it early and get things done while the rest of the company thinks we are in a meeting, or we get lunch. We chat, talk about pets, movies, whatever, and complain about the latest stupid thing the developers did this week. Occasionally, we get into long, complex discussions about security or network infrastructure, and discuss where we want to guide the company over the next 6 months to 2 years. Story 39. I treat them with my report like professor office hours. As a boss, I'm bringing something to the table, and I expect my report to bring something to the table as well to discuss. This can be regarding long-term goals, how things are going, what they're proud of, or how they screwed up. If either of us doesn't have something like that, then it's a waste of time. Story 40. Mines are pretty chill. We gossip and catch up for the first 15 minutes, and then do business and task updates, priorities, and action items for the next week. Story 41. Before self-employed. Manager. Hey, you are a top performer, but we want you to take more initiative. Me. Can you be more specific? On top of my regular duties, I have completed more strategic initiatives than the next 2 people combined. Manager. Well, to reach the next level, we need you to be more independent. Me. This is our first feedback session since my last yearly review. The last time you had to ask me to do something that wasn't already done was because of an issue I had no visibility to, because that operational risk was a person's responsibility that had yet to be let go. Manager. Exactly, you could have anticipated that or known more about that business unit. Me. I'm not psychic. Cue me going to a consulting firm to double my salary.